Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing. On today's show, we've got Wheelz, Weve, Waze, and would you spend $600 on Oakleys? I don't know. Plus, special guest David Rush, co-founder of Evzdrop and Asif, is in the home of the Singapore Sling. It's Singapore, just in case you didn't know. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 102 of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. My name, Rob Woodbridge from Untethered.tv. We're recording this live. Now, this is an intergalactic episode. It is actually November 4th, Sunday night for me, roughly about 9 o'clock. But for Asif, no longer on this hemisphere. He is actually, 10 o'clock in the morning, Singaporean time. Is that about right, Asif?
That's right, yeah. November the 5th over here.
So tell me, what happens overnight, man? What happens? The future is, you know the future now.
Well, I was going to give you the election results in the U.S., but, we're not quite ready for that.
You can tell me that tomorrow. Just give me a heads up, right? So should we be expecting a whole bunch of Democratic voters to be moving up to Canada by that point? You got to let me know. So I could open up some space. But obviously, Asif is not...
But Springsteen's doing his best, right?
He is. He is everywhere, man. God, love him. Everywhere. I tell you, the book that I'm reading is actually Bruce. It's his biography, and it is incredible. It is incredible. Anyways, but you know what? Somebody once told me that guy could crap on vinyl, and I'd still like it. So, you have a biased opinion, an unbiased opinion. So, listen.
It's amazing to me, before we get into the show, I picked up the newspaper here this morning as I was eating breakfast. And I'm reading through, and there's so much coverage, even here in Singapore on the U.S. election, wow. But so much of it is, they go through all the, the polling and everything else and whatnot, and then there's a giant picture on one section of Katy Perry with her Obama gear on doing a concert. I mean, that's what people care about the most, right? It's the celebrities and stumping for whatever candidate, but it's interesting. But there's a lot of coverage here. I'm surprised.
Are there any celebrities except for Trump stumping for the other guy? Like for Romney, is it kind of like it's like you get Donald Trump and for Barack Obama,
Clint Eastwood. Don't forget him.
Oh yeah. So you get two wing nuts going for that guy Romney, and I'm not like I don't care. I mean I'm not voting either way. But and then you've got Springsteen and every other great actor and performer for Barack Obama. Yeah, tells you. I guess you are who you the company you keep, right? But that's not what we're here to talk about. See, if you were you were in Singapore. You just went like 38 hours on an airplane. You crossed land, sea, land, sea, ocean to arrive here. What the heck are you doing in Singapore?
Well, it's later this evening. So it's November the 5th again over here, Monday. And later this evening is the official launch of the Location-Based Marketing Association in Singapore. This is our first chapter in the Asian market, so it's our kind of our gateway, so to speak, into the rest of Asia. And it's going to be phenomenal. There's a huge sign up for tonight. Lots of people coming out from all parts of different industries, financial sector, ad agencies, brands. Location startups, and we've got great support. So the IDA, Singapore Economic Development Group, is backing us. Mobile Monday, Singapore is hosting this with us. And we've got corporate support as well from Use, mobile ad network company out here, as well as Wi-Find, which is a indoor location positioning company. So it's going to be a phenomenal event. Really excited about it. And we'll be more to report next week.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about it because, the differences obviously that we're seeing across North America and Europe and Asia are, I think that they're starting to meld. They're starting to become the same challenges that every company is having when it comes to location, and the opportunities are the same. And we're starting to see the similar companies kind of arise. And now that you have that beachhead, the conduit to the Asian market, I can't wait to see that kind of research being filtered through. We all know that mobile really was, tested, spearheaded, driven through Asia. very early on, and it kind of filtered its way across Europe and then across the ocean and into North America. And so I'm wondering if that's going to be the same way if they're advanced in the location marketing space, because the populations are so massive and everybody has these devices and everybody skipped the whole landline and big screens. So really interested. I can't wait to see this. So it's a big day for you right after I sleep.
It is a big day. It's but it's going to be a great day, a fun day, I'm sure there'll be a gazillion stories of interesting companies that we'll be reporting on for the next 7 months, on the show here. So anyhow, we got a great show this week.
Boy, do we ever!
Again, if I didn't introduce myself, Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association, and it's always a pleasure to do this with my good buddy Rob. So,
well, likewise, and it is a big show. It is. Like, you've assembled some of the greatest stories that I've seen, and for once, we were just talking about this before. I don't think that there's a rant in me tonight. I don't think that there is a bad story here. One that makes me wonder what it is. I use some of these products. Maybe some of the pricing of the products is a little bit off, but I use some of these products, and I'm very excited about talking about this. We've got I'd say a stellar cast of 5 stories that Asif has curated, collated, and pushed out here. We're going to talk about that. We've also got a great guest. It's an interview that I did earlier on this week with David Rush, who is the co-founder of Evzdrop, who we featured on this very show, a couple of episodes ago. He reached out, we connected, we did a long-form interview for Untitled.tv. We got 2 acquisition stories, 1 funding story of another company that we talked about a couple of episodes ago. Look, this is happening. And then, of course, we've got a great resource of the week, which kind of encapsulates all of our funding and M&A activity in one great spreadsheet. So, really, unbelievable show. Let's get this thing going so that you can go off and get ready for your big launch tonight in Singapore. So,
yeah, absolutely.
First story, are you a skier, Asif? Are you?
I wouldn't call myself a skier. I have skied. I can ski. I'm not fantastic, but when I'm out there, I like it. So, yeah.
Now, would you spend $600 on a pair of goggles?
I would not, but I have lots of friends who are regular avid skiers, and I could see them doing it. So.
Well, you know what? For these Oakleys, these are the Airwave Snow Oakleys, and that's our first story that feature augmented reality in the goggles. I would wear them all the time for $600. But what are these things? They're insane.
Yeah, a really cool pair of ski goggles that has a whole bunch of sensors built into them. So they've got accelerometers, gyroscopes, GPS, chips, Bluetooth, and basically what's happening is as you're skiing, down the slopes, it's pushing real-time information into the display of these goggles. So, it's got prism technology, so it makes it feel like you're looking at a screen apparently that's 14 inches wide. And 5 feet out in front of you, which is kind of neat.
That's not big, though.
It's augmented reality. You can hook it up to an iOS or Android device as well, so you can do other stuff with it. But effectively, it's pushing you real-time information, like how far you've traveled down the slope, your altitude, your speed, all kinds of other stats. Jumps. It's measuring, as you jump hills and so on. Really kind of cool stuff. For me, I kind of think of it, in some respects, it's like some of the technology we've had on the golf courses for the last little while, except that, this is much more real time, much faster movement, obviously, that we're tracking, and data that, I think could be quite useful for skiers.
I think so as well. Yeah, you're right. The golf has had this quite some time, and they've had somewhat augmented reality gadgets for many many years before it was actually called augmented reality. So I think that this really is a pretty cool thing, and the heads up display is pretty cool. But like 14-inch television screen 5 feet away is pretty small, right? Like that's not huge. Like, I suppose you don't want it to be like full panorama as you're going down the mountain, right? I suppose that's not probably the best way. You don't want like a 60-inch screen 3 feet away from you while you're trying to ski. But this is pretty cool. The only challenge I have is the $600 price point. But you know what? Cool costs, right?
Yeah, for sure. And they didn't talk about it in this release, but I'm sure there's opportunities for marketers, at the various ski venues to get involved and push marketing contents and offers and to the various establishments along the way. So
imagine that.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there, it's like, hey, come and have a hot chocolate over here. It's you're getting discount codes and coupons being flown at you all the time. And then I wonder when they mix this up, they match this up with like Match.com, right? So that somebody else is going down the mountain and it's like, hey, she's single, he's single. And anyway, now it's starting to get interesting. Yeah. So, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you happen to be around, like this is Oakley, obviously. I'm pulling up the store right here. They're Oakley. You can buy them now. If you just go to Oakley.com, they're $599.95, and they're actually available in this, which is the I don't even know what color this is, white factory, and then the gunmetal iridium, which are pretty cool. They're black and everything like that. So yeah, Oakley, man, augmented reality, I like it. Gadget, and the thing that they do here, we didn't even talk about this, is that there's a wristband that is attached to this, and that's where you control it through an iOS or an Android device. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
And if you guys, so if somebody out there buys these, please, I mean, we won't use your real name because you spent $600 on a pair of goggles, but if you're out there and you bought them, let us know. And if you're using them, let us know this season. Anytime this season, we'd love to hear from you. And if this is the first time you've heard about them, let us know as well. All right. Second story. So here's a chain, a massive chain called the Marriott chains, obviously, and they are working with this company called Check-in for Good, which is I love this idea, right? Where it's not about ego anymore. It's actually about checking in for charity. Talk about this. See if this is a good idea. This is pure.
Yeah, this is a great idea, and it's one of the my latest sort of presentation deck when I go out and talk to retailers and brands these days and I talk about trends on how location is being used. One of the things that I talk about all the time now is this ability to tie in check-in data to charitable giving, and it's certainly a trend for this year that's coming. And here's a platform called Check-in for Good, run by a guy, one of the founders is a guy named Rob Katz. And so Marriott's doing this, and effectively, there's nothing really crazy unique about it. It's just that, we're kind of, jumping on the back of what consumers already like to do, which is support great causes. And so Marriott's, getting behind this and saying, hey, we want to do this. We want to give people the ability to support. In this case, they're testing this in Raleigh-Durham at the Marriott at Research Triangle Park. For every check-in, Marriott donates $2 to the Durham Rescue Mission. And then, the check-in is also tied to a free appetizer or dessert at the restaurant that's associated with that hotel. So it's kind of win-win for everybody. We talked, I don't know, a few weeks back about Saucony, the shoe company, and their app. Where runners basically could support local causes, and Saucony donating money to fight obesity, with local charities based on where those runners are. We talked, a couple months ago about the partnership between Five Guys and Place Punch and Feeding America. Same kind of thing with Kraft supporting that. So it's definitely a trend. Consumers love to get involved in charity causes. They're passionate about something. And, what we see here is a brand like Marriott jumping on it and saying, yeah, we recognize that, and we want to marry the, what's going on with check-ins with supporting good causes.
Well, you know what? It makes it so simple. And you think about things like what just happened with Sandy, this massive storm. If you haven't heard about it, this massive storm that hit New Jersey and New York, and you know a big thing around this was obviously the text to donate, and but you think about something like this is that you can now check in to donate and check in to contribute, and instead of $10 to the SMS, it might be $2, but you might get a few more people generate interest like this. So I expect to see this kind of stuff really flourish. And it surprises me that somebody like Foursquare, a company like Foursquare, didn't jump onto something like this a little bit faster for charitable donations. You know, I would expect these guys to be on it. But I like this. Check In for Good. If you're interested in those guys, go to checkinforgood.com. I'll just pull it up on the screen here for those of you who are watching, and you'll find out a great deal of information about what they do and who they are. And I salute the Marriott for doing that. Really. Very cool. Awesome. Two great stories. $600. That's the the ego in you that are going to spend $600 on a pair of Oakleys. And then you can go and feel better by checking in at a Marriott and donate $2. Right? That seems about right.
Yeah.
All right. Third story. Here is a company. Now, I have interviewed the founder of GetAround.com, Sam Zaid, and for Untether.tv. And here is a competitor. It's a very competitive market, but here's another competitor that has just walked into this industry, into this space. Same San Francisco-based company. This is a company called Wheelz. It's peer-to-peer car sharing. This is, we've talked about this many times before. I love the concept of excess inventory and utilizing excess inventory when, they say that the car is idle, 21 hours a day. You might as well make money off it instead of it costing you money.
This is Julie. Julie needs to get away sometimes to run errands, go shopping, or to head to the beach with her friends. But she can't because she doesn't have a car. This is Dave. Dave, on the other hand, has a car. He can go wherever he wants, whenever he wants, which is great. But while the car sits idle, it costs Dave a ton of money between insurance, gas, maintenance, keeping it clean for the ladies, and so on. So basically, Julie and Dave are both stuck. But what if we could connect these two? What if there was some simple, reliable, smarter way to get Julie the car she needs and Dave the cash he needs? Well, now there is, with Wheelz. Wheelz connects people like Dave, who have a car, to people in his network like Julie, who need to borrow one. And instead of Dave's car just sitting there costing him money, it can actually make him money and pay for itself. It's super simple. If you own a car like Dave, we'll come install the equipment you need to turn that car into cash for free. And now when Julie needs a car, she just checks the Wheelz app, finds the nearest car, and makes a quick reservation. So with just a few minutes and her smartphone, she's on her way. And it's not just plain old normal cars either. Julie can get any kind of car for any kind of occasion, all with the same simple system. And once she's on the road, Wheelz takes it to another level for Dave and Julie with $1 million insurance policy and 24/7 roadside assistance and support. Finally, Julie gets the ride she needs and Dave puts that lazy car of his to work. It's car sharing. The way it should be. Get the ride you need at Wheelz.com and go.
Yeah, no, I think this is a hot market right now. Peer-to-peer, renting of anything that's sitting around. Not just in the car business. Where you've got get around and relay rides, but even job marketplaces we talked about in the past, like Zarly and TaskRabbit and and other services where, you've got a pair of skis lying around for guys who don't ski regularly, or maybe you got a pair of those Oakley augmented reality goggles because you ski once a year and you can rent those out to somebody else.
Now I'd rent them for $10.
This is the kind of thing where it makes sense. What's interesting about Wheelz, two points to make on this. Wheelz is, they raised a whack of money earlier in the year, $13.7 million from Zipcar. Okay, so these guys are funded by Zipcar, first of all. Second of all, they're trying to solve a bit of the friction in the system around how these services work. So, there's one thing about arranging through a service, whether it's Get Around, Relay Rides, or Wheelz, to rent a car from another peer. So this is peer to peer we're talking about. That's fine, but one of the challenges that has slowed this down in some respects is the need to actually meet up with the person to exchange keys and all that kind of stuff. And so what Wheelz has said is look, we're trying to solve that part of the problem. And that's what makes us a little bit different. So they're actually installed hardware in the in the cars called drive boxes. And so when you arrange to rent a car, basically, there's no keys required. You basically unlock the car via the smartphone that you've rented it with, and then away you go. So it's kind of interesting that they're using a hardware solution in parallel with the sort of the booking engine aspect of this to make this happen.
Yeah, one of the things that so I know Sam. He's an Ottawa guy that moved to California to go and actually pursue this company called Get Around. And I don't mean to diminish Wheelz, because that's what the story is about. And if you're interested in going, I go to WHEELZ or Z.com, whatever country you are in. But Get Around does do that. I know the engineer that actually built the box that allows you to go through and start a car without having to, go through the logistics the same way that they detail in here. There's not much of a differentiation between these two companies, other than they're in the same cities, they're offering the same services, they're offering the same capabilities. So this is really the big thing, is that it's a big enough world and inside of North America and inside of the United States that there are going to be more than one of these companies. And I like, personally, I love Get Around, I love Wheelz, I love this technology, but I love it when it's integrated. So whoever's integrated with Ford Sync, whoever's integrated with OnStar, which I think it's the other company that's integrated with OnStar, right?
Yes.
And so for now I've lost their name, but I think that for the companies that are integrated with the systems like that, like Ford Sync and OnStar, I think that there's a competitive advantage simply because you really can then go in there without a key. And you can go in there without even hooking it up, and you can go in there, there's security, there's all those things that are already built into these systems. So, but I there is no differentiator. Now the differentiator right here is the number of cars available and the type of cars available. So I think that's one of the key things. Yeah. So Relay Rides is the company that is tied in with the OnStar now. So, but pretty cool. I love this kind of stuff. This is what mobile is all about. Convenience. Forget keys.
Yeah. And it's all about leveraging assets that are around you, right? I mean, that's where the location piece comes in. And it's, the reality is there's a lot of unused inventory sitting around, if you want to call it that, in all forms, whether it's cars or bikes or augmented reality ski goggles.
Exactly, or restaurants.
It's all there. But anyhow, so Wheelz previously raised $13.8 million from Zipcar, and in this market, and going to lock up some territory.
I love that play by Zipcar. Keeping their business over here and then innovating by investing in a company like Wheelz. So go to WHEELZ or Z.com. All right, our fourth story, and if you're interested in Get Around, just go to getaround.com. The same thing, if you're interested in Relay Rides, just go to relayrides.com. And there's a couple of others, of course. And if we've missed any, just leave them in the comments wherever you find this podcast, this episode. Fourth story, I have tried, and it's still installed on my iPhone to use Waze, W-A-Z-E, which is the open source real-time navigation GPS application for smartphones. I'm trying to like it. I like it a lot now that I actually charge my iPhone inside of my car. But they have partnered with this company called Lumata out of Italy for an exclusive advertising deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Waze, they've done a good job in North America, building a user base. We're talking about navigation, real-time traffic alerts. We talked about these guys, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago in the summer. They had announced an interesting partnership with gas stations. If you recall, we talked about that, and the ability to find cheapest gas prices based on where you were and location and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. So now here they are, growing their international base and partnering with this company called Lumata, Lumata, in Italy. It's an exclusive around the advertising opportunity for them. So according to this, Waze has 2 million users in Italy already, 28 million worldwide. So a significant user base in the Italian market. And effectively, their Lumata is going to help them monetize this platform in Italy. So it's exclusive. Any advertiser that wants to, reach one of those 2 million people on the Waze platform can talk to Lumata, and there's an opportunity for you to do some branded advertising.
It's funny. 2 million is a substantial number for a country like Italy to have that many people using Waze in Italy. I wonder why that is. I'm intrigued now. Because out of the 28 million users, 2 million inside of one country like that, and these guys are spread out globally. So, very cool. You can find out about Waze at waze.com, or you can go. Obviously, Lumata is at lumata.com, and I've shown both if you are watching these episodes. This episode in video. This is a good deal. This is an exclusive like that. 2 million people as an audience, I think is an incredible number, and for me, I like this. This makes sense. And you know what? I have to thank I found this article. You know where I found this article, Asif?
Where's that?
I found this article on our syndication partner, GPS Business News.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
Yes. And by the way, we love GPS Business News. We're very happy to have partnered with them. And so every week you can get this podcast in the European market if that's where you are. Well, I guess you can get it anywhere, but in particular in the European market where GPS Business News is based out of France, have picked this up, and we really appreciate them supporting the show.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I found that. I found 2 stories on their website. So we'll come to another one in a little while, and I'll be sure to point that out as well. So it's cool. Waze partnering with Lumata. This is a big deal. Maybe this company is 20 million users going somewhere. Okay, our last story, 5th story. Here is we've talked about ISIS quite a bit. They've recently kind of gone out in a cautious format, ISIS has, and this is that what is it? ISIS is the bringing together of massive organizations in order to be able to facilitate the commerce platform, mobile commerce. And here's Project Oscar, which we talked about a while ago. Which is 3 of the largest carriers in the UK coming together to. They originally were going to do what? Commerce as well, mobile commerce, but they've kind of shifted a little bit, haven't they, with the launch of Weve?
Yeah, this is an interesting story. I mean, Project Oscar is something I've been following for quite a while. It's a partnership between, or a joint venture, I guess, between 3 of the biggest brands, carriers in the UK market. So it's Vodafone UK, Telefonica with O2, and then Everything Everywhere, all coming together to form this consortium play around what up until now has been a mobile wallet, combined mobile wallet offering that hits 80% of the mobile subscriber base in the UK when all those carriers come together. So significant coverage. What's interesting is they came out this week and they've announced that Project Oscar, which is what it's been known as up until now, has been rebranded. It's now called Weve, W-E-V-E. And interestingly enough, they've basically said, from everything I can tell, that the focus of Weve now is going to be marketing and advertising opportunities, leveraging the 80% subscriber base that the collective has, all around pushing location-based offers and deals and content, and less so on the payments opportunity. And I think that's partly because the carriers themselves that are part of this consortium already have their own payments initiatives underway that they've been working on anyways in parallel with what was going on with Oscar. So, Everything Everywhere has, a payments initiative. They have relationships with MasterCard. They have stuff going on. We've talked about that in the past. O2 obviously has been very active with Priority Moments. So there's lots going on over here. And so it sort of makes sense to me that, the opportunity here is really around marketing, mobile marketing, and less so on mobile payments. I'm not saying they're not doing any mobile payments, but the real opportunity is to reach 80% of the customer base in the UK.
Yeah, I wonder how much this has to do with 3, the only one that they didn't ask to the dance, threatening to, basically. I know that they tried to block the efforts to go and put these guys together, and I know that they were thrown out. They got regulatory So we've got regulatory approval to be able to do this. But I wonder how much of this is, you know what, I like this idea, but I wonder if this is just a little bit of a first step into this. Like, you know, get that marketing ball rolling with 80% of the UK mobile population, and then start to turn on commerce when it makes sense to turn on commerce as a unified front. But I wonder, I feel bad for 3, just, you know, the guy that didn't get asked to the dance. And then he got spiteful and went to the regulatory board. And but you know what? Antitrust, this is an antitrust play. But when you get 3 big companies like that who can actually now sway everything, this is a big challenge. And we have that in Canada as well with the big 3. But I don't think that they would ever get together and talk about it like they are doing it right now, would they? Can you imagine?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I think especially Rogers, you know, they've been, you know, on their own, rolling out their own payment strategy. There's lots going on around this in Canada.
Yeah.
RBC announced earlier this week, Royal Bank of Canada for the international listeners, that they're launching their own mobile wallet initiative this week. So there's plenty going on. I think it's difficult, but you know, I'm glad to see that, you know, at least in some markets, carriers can get along and make things happen. So.
Well, you know, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, and I know this is our last story, and it's probably appropriate, but the whole mobile wallet concept here, where everybody getting into the mobile wallet piece. There's a great article that I'm desperately trying to find right now. It's on GigaOM about, listen, this is the challenge with the mobile wallet, and we've talked about it here quite often, and mobile payment is that there are so many offerings, so many different companies getting involved, so many big companies getting involved. RBC, Rogers is applying to be a bank, and this is just in Canada. And then you've got things like Weve, you've got ISIS, you've got Google Wallet, you've got blah, 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 and you've got 47 wallets that you can be carrying, in, depending on who you are banking with and who you want to spend money with. And a great article on GigaOM about, listen, you know, this is a challenge. It's going to get far worse before it actually gets adopted. And at some point over the next couple of years, we're going to start to see some fallout from this where they're going to have to either work together or they're going to have to go away. And I think that that's what we're starting to see. No. Oh, yeah, I forgot Square, that little company called Square.
Yeah, Square. I love Square. Love those guys. You know, and even this week, too, you know, again, I don't want to bring another story into the mix, but just to kind of wrap that up. You know, there's so much intersection and overlap in this mobile wallet space. So one of the things that happened this week as well is Google, with their wallet, came out and said they're also launching a card. Yeah. They're launching a
physical card,
credit card. Yeah. You know, physical Google Wallet card that goes along with the mobile. I mean, so you know, they understand the mobile wallet's going to take a while as a pure mobile thing to take off. So, you know, let's go into the card business as well. So anyhow, lots of confusion, lots going on, but good stuff going on with Weve. You know, if you're a retailer, you're a brand, there's probably a good marketing opportunity.
Oh, man. Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. As long as they keep the prices democratic, right? Just because they own that 80% of the market, they have to make sure that they cannot start to charge more than the average other vehicle to get to those customers. That's where you start to think like 80% market is dominant. And if I was antitrust legislation or legislators, I would be looking at this very closely. I know that they threw it out the first time. But you know what? Who knows what happens when they start to actually implement. So very cool. So we had stories from Oakley. It's going to cost you $600 for a pair of goggles that do augmented reality. They can actually tell you the temperature outside. It's always cold when you're skiing. We got Marriott's working with Check-In for Good, and I think that's one of the best stories that we've got here. Obviously, we've got Wheelz, a peer-to-peer car-sharing service that is competitive with a number of other peer-to-peer car-sharing services that are out there. Waze, working with Lumata. And, of course, our last one, which was Weve, Project Oscar becoming Weve and actually launching it. Very cool. Awesome stories. International flavor, international flair. I love the fact that this is just not a North American-focused show. I love it. Love it. In fact, yeah, more outside than inside. How's that?
There you go.
If we missed a story there, if you disagree or agree with anything that we've said in those stories, please reach out, untether@gmail.com or asif@thelbma.com. We'd love to hear from you. Love to know if you guys are, if we're hitting the right stories with these guys. Feedback has been incredible so far. Keep it coming. We really, really, really appreciate it. I think we should just do one show where it's just all reader feedback. That's what I think. What do you think?
I like it.
So keep them coming in. Keep them coming in. Great job on those stories, Asif. In travel, in transit, still manages to impress, right? God, I love that.
All right.
So listen.
And we got a guest.
We do. A couple of episodes ago, I think episode number 98, we talked about a company called Evzdrop. That's EVZDROP.com. And I reached out because I'm fascinated by these guys. We thought that they were a very interesting company. We love the idea of, like the broadcasters of the world, leaving your message, leaving your mark. They do this called a drop. You leave your mark on a location. So I reached out to them, and I managed to get David Rush, who's the co-founder of Evzdrop, to come onto the show and spend a great amount of time. I'm only going to show you about 6 or 7 minutes of that interview, and it's a brand new interview. It's up on Untether.tv right now. We're going to be talking about really about what Evzdrop is. He talks about the interest graph or interest network instead of the social graph, and we're going to talk about what the interest network is, and then we're going to really talk about the inspiration for the company, why he built the company or why he decided to start the company. The whole interview is stellar. We go into a little bit more business than actually on the location space, which is, a wide swath about, how he managed to, do his work where he was currently working and then transition into running Evzdrop full time, how they raised money, how they did their beta, how they did their trials, all these kind of things. But this is about 7 minutes of him talking about, hey, what is Evzdrop? What is the interest network? And what was the inspiration for starting this company? So basically, where were the holes that he saw that allowed him to do this? So here is David Rush from Evzdrop. Without further ado, I'm going to bring him in here. David, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Yes, well, it's great to have you here. I'm just trying to think back if we said anything that was negative about Evzdrop on that podcast. I don't think we did.
It was pretty positive. I appreciate it.
we are avid supporters of the location-based marketing world, and we were really actually enchanted by what you guys were doing, focusing on the location as opposed to focusing on the person. So why don't you, for those people who have not heard what Evzdrop is, who didn't watch that episode, tell us about your Chicago-based startup.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. So we are a real-time location-based interest network, and essentially what we've done is we've taken place and used that as our interest graph, and that's why we call it an interest network. Place is the common connection point between the people in our community, and those are people that may know each other, but most likely don't know each other. What's unique about that, though, is those people that are standing in a specific place at a given moment in time have an exclusive voice of insight that's authentic, that's credible, that will be useful and or valuable to those people that are listening to places. So rather than follow a conversation or follow a person like you do on Twitter, you actually follow places on Evzdrop. And we call it listening to places. We're playing off of our brand, but it's also a listening platform for not only our community, but for those businesses that are intent on understanding the real-time emotions and opinions of people in their particular place.
So you guys, it's quite a bit. I love that. I love the concept of interest network, right? Everybody talks about an interest graph, but you're talking about a little bit of an interest network. Can you give us a little bit of a deeper definition of how you guys see that? I know that you described it through your business, but an interest network is as you said, it's not about the people that you know, it's about the places that you frequent, right?
Yeah, and the way in which our micro insights are delivered are through the place. So you add places to your feed, whether that's Soldier Field, whether that's Lululemon or Starbucks or whatever the place is. That's what you're listening to, and you're listening to the exclusive voice again of those people that are there at a moment in time. And so that's why it's really an interest network. Again, a social network is traditionally friends or people that you know, and what we're really creating is more of this network where we all can be connected by places of interest to us or places we may not even know about. So within the app, we bring insights to people through one of the functions called Radar, where people can see what's happening in real time. And that can be a real-time promotion. It can be anything happening in that particular place at any given time.
So, is it fair to say that people can actually connect, though? So if I like a restaurant, or if I like a venue, for example, or location, and I keep seeing the same people, that are there every day, or every second day, every third day, does Evzdrop allow me to actually reach out to them and tap them and touch them, and not literally, but talk to them about that location, get more details about it in real time?
At this point in time, we're not connecting people. We do have in our backlog some ideas on how we might do that. So we don't need to share all the details of that right now. We do recognize that people do like to follow people on Twitter, and they might find their insights funny or provocative, and there may be, a reason to be following them. But because we're so focused on Place right now, what we really want to showcase is those insights from Place, and we also want to sort of help the places showcase their attributes. So one of the functions we're building into this next version of our app is to include the Twitter handle for every business. When a particular drop gets tweeted, those businesses will be profiled so that they can see that it was coming from someone that was verifiably in their store, and they'll look at that data probably a little bit differently than they might from somebody that just might have tweeted it otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, location, you really do want to make sure some kind of validation, something that puts a person who is actually in the spot or was in the location ahead. I mean, it's one thing to find new customers. It's another thing to bring existing customers back. And it'd be very interesting to see how you categorize them or how you prioritize those guys. But I know it's a coming feature. I want to take a step back a little bit because I want to understand the process by which you got here. This company, you launched the app about a month ago, so that would have been in September of 2012, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
Walk me back to how did you end up starting and running Evzdrop? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so the idea, the inspiration really came last fall, late last fall, and a couple things were sort of happening simultaneously. One is I would consider myself a pretty decent social media user, but not actively. And one of the reasons, or not as active as some people, is one of the reasons why all the data coming at me from every direction, all of it didn't make sense. I would read about what a high school friend had for dinner that night at home, and I would scratch my head and wonder what I just read. But I also recognized the tremendous value in knowing what that stranger thought of the sea bass special at the restaurant that I was going to in about an hour. So to me, that was very interesting, and I didn't necessarily get that insight from traditional review sites, nor did I get that from other places because it wasn't real time and it wasn't easily discovered. Even if I were to look at a hashtag and follow a certain conversation, it may not give me that real time insight that I was looking for. In concert with that, I had an experience myself. I literally was at a restaurant having a special that was just out of this world, and I wasn't about to go home and write a long review about it, but I knew that if I was able to broadcast that to an unlimited number of people that were coming to that restaurant that night, there could be a lot of value in that. And so then the process began. Did a lot of research on what was working, what wasn't working with existing platforms, understood what the unmet business needs were, what the unmet consumer needs were, recognized some of the opportunities with the businesses, and at that point in time, my partner and I continued to do our due diligence to understand kind of what we needed to do to execute this, and we started developing our brand just after the first of the year, and really kicked things off in late February, the development of this, and that led us to where we're at right now.
Well, that was David Rush, who is the co-founder of Evzdrop. Really appreciate him doing this. Really love the fact that we can get these guys on and do long-form interviews on Untether.tv. And if you are so inclined, this episode is about an hour long, which they typically are on Untether.tv, and it's entitled "How Evzdrop uses the interest network to drive footfall for their customers." And it is up there right now. It is on the front page. Go and grab it while it's free, because in a week or so, it'll be behind a membership wall and you will not be able to listen to it. And trust me, it is worthwhile. Great lessons learned from David on that. So really appreciate David for doing that. I can't believe how quickly we can turn these things around. What about you, Asif?
No, it's it's amazing. When we're able to kind of find these great companies, these great stories out there, and then actually engage with these founders and CEOs and get more in depth with it. And a good example of that is we just last week we talked about box code in Australia, and Dean Heineman, who's the founder of Box Code, watched the show and wrote us this phenomenal note, basically kind of thanking us for our comments and coverage, and gave a lot more insight. So I look forward to having thank Dean for that first of all, and we look forward to having him on the show at some point in the future as well. So.
Yeah, and I going through that email, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love the fact that he acknowledges a bunch of the things that we talked about. He also challenges me on a bunch of the things that I talked about. And hey, Dean, if you're listening, bring it, pal. I can't wait to talk to you about this. I think it's gonna be great. All right, so again, we thank David Rush from Evzdrop for dropping by, and Dean, thank you for your comments about our comments on Boxtone and Box Code, and we look forward to having you on the show. So come on. All right, we're going to jump into the funding. Only one funding stories, 2 acquisitions, and these aren't sizable acquisitions, but I think this all rolls into this. So we got our funding and acquisition, and then we've got our resource of the week, which is around funding in this space. So let's start. This company called LocalVox, a New York-based company that seems to have just accelerated out of nowhere, raised a little bit of money a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't take long for them to go out and pick up their first company, did it, Asif?
Not at all. So these guys raised 7.4 million just a few weeks ago, and so they've gone out and acquired Postling. I think this is a great combination of companies. What we're talking about here is social media marketing dashboards for small businesses. So the Postling system, they had about 20,000 small businesses on this platform. And for small businesses in particular, I would say, managing all the social channels and the conversation that's going on around your business is something that takes a lot of time. And especially when you don't have a lot of staffing, you're challenged in terms of people resources. You need tools that can help kind of put it all in one place and aggregate that information. So whether it's business directories or reporting or keywords search or local search optimization and kind of putting all that in one place. That's effectively what Postling was doing, and so now LocalVox has that. They've integrated already the Postling stuff into the LocalVox platform and released a new version 3.0. So it's all there. It's done already. So obviously this was something that was already in the works. It's not a just a fly-by-night thing that they just decided to do. So
you're right. This is absolutely 2 companies that complement each other extremely well, focusing on the same market and focusing on the same price point, focusing probably have duplicate customers, and each one working so closely together that this was a natural fit. And what can you say? LocalVox and Postling getting together is probably a match made in heaven. Good on them, right? I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in LocalVox, it's localvox.com. If you are interested in understanding what Postling was doing or is doing, it's postling.com, postling.com. Go check them out. And you know what? I don't know if there was a number on this. Let me just check John's website. Oh, he doesn't have it on it yet. Wow, he doesn't have it on there. So we don't know what... did we have a number on this?
I didn't see one, no.
Okay. Well, if they raised $7.5 million, and LocalVox has only raised, what have they raised a total of by now? $7.4 million. So, it was probably not more than that. Why don't we
That's probably a good guess.
That's probably a good guess. Yeah. Smart guy over here. You've seen the future, Asif. You might know. I'm in the past here.
Yeah, I'm hours ahead of you. So anyhow.
I'm in the past. All right. Our second story is around a company that we covered a couple of weeks ago, maybe in episode 98, episode 99. This company called Pirq, and they raised a little bit of money. Now, this is not their first round that they've raised, but why don't you remind people what Pirq is, and let's talk about this little raise that they've done.
Well, Pirq is so 1.2 million in this round. They've been out there for a while. They're effectively trying to replace the loyalty systems in a lot of retailers and small businesses, punch card type of model. We've talked about these guys a few times. When they raised capital, their entry into the Asian market recently. In fact, I think somebody from Pirq is coming to the Singapore launch tonight, so I'm looking forward to meeting with them. But the interesting thing here is that this most recent announcement, along with the funding, is that they're going low tech. In that while everybody's out there talking about NFC, they're talking about text messaging now, and so they've launched a new platform, a new functionality on top of Pirq that is focused on SMS based messaging. And so effectively what happens here is, you sign up with Pirq, you pay $50 a month as a merchant. They issue you an Android tablet that you place on your counter, and then consumers come in, they scan a barcode using the Pirq application on their iOS or Android phone, and then you can send a text message to their screen around that redemption and reminders and so on. So it's interesting. I think Rob, I'm a huge proponent of text, location-based text messaging, because it reaches everybody. It's not only about smartphones; it's all phones. Are capable of that. With the geofencing technology we have out there today, I think text is going to see a renaissance. It's already much more prevalent in Europe and Asia. And it's on its way back in North America as well.
Yeah, a lot of people were trying to have been facing that challenge, right? When you've launched apps and you got complicated and you built an app and then you wanted to figure out how to communicate with the person who downloaded your app, because the relationship was obfuscated mostly by Apple and the App Store. So companies like Urban Airship arrived, where it was a push technology that allowed you to push notification and interaction. And really, what they're trying to do is mimic this thing called SMS and MMS. And we both know Tomi Ahonen as the biggest cheerleader of SMS. And everybody thought that this technology or this transport mechanism was dead simply because it was such a low-tech version. I can't believe SMS is low-tech, but a low-tech version of communicating. And so companies like Urban Airship are in-app, and then you've got companies that are leveraging real SMS, and I love what Pirq is doing as well. SMS is not a dying technology. In fact, it is an accelerating technology, and when you add location, you add an ability to reach out to any device, anywhere, and then if you put a commerce layer on top of that and a loyalty layer on top of that, man, it just makes sense to me. It just does, and that's why I like this. I'm so surprised these guys have only raised $3.2 million for what they're doing, because it's like loyalty for the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyhow, I think this is yet another good move by Pirq. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. So go.
I think they're on the right track. So
go to Pirq, PIRQ.com if you're interested in them. They small raise, $1.2 million, but that's it. One of the things that David Rush, the co-founder of Evzdrop, said in this interview was, we talked about him raising money, and he said, he never wanted to raise too much, more than he needed. And that's what I think I like about Pirq, is that these small investments really keep you hungry, really keep you focused, really keep you centered on the good ideas, and force you to focus on the ideas that are going to make money. So Pirq raising $1.2 million, PIRQ.com. All right, our last story here under the funding and acquisition space is U-Blox acquires a company called Fastrax. Now, this is a technical play. This is a semiconductor company that is buying. U-Blox is a semiconductor company that has bought Fastrax. Details on this, I do know the number on this simply because it came up in John's, and we're going to talk about John in the resource of the week. We're leading to that. So they bought Fastrax for 13 mil.
Yeah, 13 million euro.
Yeah.
So significant dollars here. U-Blox is a Swiss company, and Fastrax is a company based in Finland. And very technical play here. As you said, U-Blox is a semiconductor company that's focused on positioning and wireless chipsets around that, and vehicles, machines, locating positioning of those types of things, from a chip perspective. And then you've got Fastrax, which is a company that develops software and receivers for GNSS solutions, which is global navigation satellite system stuff. So, obviously a company that, has been at it for a while. Fastrax is a 12-year-old company, very successful company, according to what I've been able to gather around these guys. And I'm not in that world of hardware and GPS navigation systems and semiconductors, on a day-to-day basis. But, it seems like a good fit between these two companies. 13 million euros is nothing to sneeze at.
No, and Asif, the only thing I can contribute to this hardware stuff, I've been very frank about my distaste for hardware completely. It's not a out of ignorance. It's just that I believe that all the excitement right now is happening on the software layer. Again, it's going to shift back to the hardware layer at some point, but let software have its day. So I can't really contribute to this conversation, nor will I attempt. I will say that I found out about this article. I read about this story again at gpsbusinessnews.com. Right? There it is.
Absolutely. There you go.
Love them. So that's good.
So
13 million
U-Blox
euro.
acquires-
13 million euros. U-Blox acquires Fastrax, their competitor. And that's it. So if we didn't cover your story, man, I'd be sad right now. I would be so sad right now because you have an opportunity to put your story somewhere in there. If you are a fourth story, but you submit it to us, we will put it in there. So reach out, untether@gmail.com or asif@thelbma.com. Your story's not there, it's your damn fault. Reach out. Let us know, please. We want to spread the wealth. We don't care how big the deal is, how small the deal is. We don't care if this is a small acquisition, a merger of equals. If you guys out there, our listening community, are doing it, we want to be able to help spread the word. So please, bring it. Bring it. Got one last thing to do, Asif, and then we can let you go and enjoy your 26 degrees and sunny in Singapore. Is it still raining there?
The rain has stopped. It's overcast, but I'll deal with that.
Yeah, you'll deal with that. 26 degrees. And
yeah.
I saw some snow today where I am, so not happy with you, not happy with the snow. Our resource of the week, this is cool. So we try to bring you these deals, these acquisitions that happen, these fundings that happen, as we just did through this, through our funding and acquisition section. But this guy, John Spinney, I'm going to totally butcher his name, but John Spinney has this great little spreadsheet that he keeps, and he's opened it up as a Google Doc. This is pretty cool, Asif. This is good.
Yeah, I really like it. It's it's John Spinney's Location Technology M&A Tracker, Google Doc that he's a little spreadsheet he's put together. And he's basically just tracking all the acquisitions and deals and the dollar amounts, and got it all there. I like it. It's it's a hard thing to keep up to date, but at least if you're looking for a starting point on valuations for your business or trying to figure out what's gone on, in the industry over the last little while, here's a great starting point. So I really like this resource.
Yeah, and as I'm going through it, you can totally see there's Schneider Electric bought Telvent for $1.4 billion. Like there's some big deals in here. Digital Globe, GOI. So some of these are we've talked about. ISLE 411, and we've talked about Cisco and Esri buying Geoloki and Telenav buying ThinkNear, $22.5 million. So this is a great little resource. I like this. But who is John Spinney, and why have we not had him on the show or talked to him?
We're going to get him on the show. Yeah.
John, if you listen to us, buddy, come on. We're all in this business together. If you're interested in John Spinney, I'll throw it up here, johnspinney.com, JONSPINNEY.com. And if it is John Spinney, which I don't think it is, but it may be, my apologies. johnspinney.com, JONSPINNEY.com. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate that. It makes our job a lot easier bringing you guys the latest activity. We shouldn't have told anybody about this. Asif.
No, you know what? The whole point of this show, Rob, is to get the word out about great stuff that's going on. I just the only thing I know about John is I think he's based out of Denver area, and
and that's what he looks like right there in the top corner.
Love to have you on the show, John, if you're listening. So there you go.
Please, John, we'd love to. We'll reach out to John and see if we can get him on the show as a guest, and maybe he can be our our investor analyst when it comes to what's going on in this community. All right, so that's it. We have nothing left. World record time. Asif, so you tonight are doing your launch, then you're heading out to London. We will be you'll probably be in London for episode number 103, is that right?
Most likely.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably record it right when I get there, so yeah.
Yeah, next week, episode number 103, will bring you the summary of what happened in the Singapore branch launch of the Location-Based Marketing Association, and we will be talking about what he's going to be doing in London, and then he's racing back to Toronto to speak at a keynote. All this just to promote this great industry. So here's what I'd like you to do. Asif is going around the world to talk about this industry, to promote it, to make sure that everybody understands it, to put this is a lot of goodwill that Asif is doing. So send him an email saying, Asif, hey man, we appreciate it, because we really do. Asif@thelbmay.com. He's sitting there waiting right now for your email, so start sending it this moment. Or send him a text message.
It's like the telethon, I'm here waiting for your call right now.
Exactly.
Anyhow, but I couldn't do it without my colleague in crime, Rob, here. So thanks for your support too, and thanks to all the viewers and listeners out there. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this or watch this every week. And again, we're always open to sponsors too. So if you'd love to get your brand across and use this as a platform to do so, we're open to that. So send us a note about those kinds of things too.
Absolutely. So we'll be back with episode number 103 with some great stories, some great guests, some great insight, and Asif from London in the UK. So until then, have a great week. Asif, have an incredible launch of your Singapore office for the Location-Based Marketing Association, and we will talk to you next week. See you, everybody.
Cheers.